Get started.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share the screen.
Bless you.
Sorry, hay fever.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody. And let's, we're going to do the flag salute. And this time we're going to hear the pledge by other people. It sounds so much better. So here we go.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice.
for all.
Okay, I hope you guys heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, and the prayer today, Padre Bill.
As Rotarians, let us try to give peace of mind to all we meet, spread happiness wherever we go, encourage health where people are deprived, and spread wealth to those in need. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, Jerry.
Thought of the day. A fine is a tax for doing wrong. A tax is a fine for doing well. All right.
Okay, and it's just a reminder, actually, you guys got extension to May 17th, if you need that.
Thank
I
goodness
definitely
for it.
need
Okay,
Unless you're doing really,
yeah. Okay, and then I have this question, I want to get it out right now. And on May 13th, I've got a call from a person named Deke Hunter. He's a friend of Mike Trudeau, and he wanted to contribute some money into our endowment in Mike's name. And he's a pretty big real estate developer. I think his father was too. They developed that Almaden Ranch over there on the corner of Almaden Expressway, and I guess it's Cherry or something, or Chesborough. And so he's also part owner of the earthquakes, and he invited us that either by Zoom or we can go over there and they'll give us a tour. They said they did a lot of new stuff, and now it's PayPal and everything's improving. So I'm asking, I only want people to say who are not interested in having a meeting. We might still be able, like somebody could be there, we can do it by Zoom so you can watch us if that's what you want to do. But is there anybody that's on this call or meeting that is not interested in having a meeting at PayPal Stadium?
This is to watch a game, obviously. No,
no.
No,
just be
I
there.
don't think so.
A tour.
It's just a tour.
Oh, a tour of the place. Mhm.
Kind of cool.
What
Yeah.
time would that be on the 13th?
Well, I'm thinking 12:30, but I wanted to talk to him. Is that convenient for you?
I could
Okay.
do it.
Same here.
Okay.
I definitely be there. In fact,
Okay.
my friend that I brought to one other meeting is a big soccer fan. I might try to get him go with me.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, so everyone is interested and no one is not. All right, good. Now, stop sharing. Okay, and I do have a few announcements about the charter party. We were just talking about how I'm going to send square payments so that people can pay. That's going to be on May 1st. It starts at 2:30. The actual race starts at just a little bit before 4. It's only 2 minutes long, so you better be there at 2:30. Get a group together, and I think maybe not now, but later we need to come together and limit how much money people can contribute. We don't want somebody to have more money than somebody else, and then they bid and they get all the good horses. So we might say everybody should contribute $25 to a pool and no more than 3 people.
Not to
Something
mention
like
that Ken will run up the price of every horse
Yeah.
that he's not
Right.
bidding,
So
and
we
then
got
end up paying $300 a person or whatever we did up in Reno. Thankfully,
right.
we
Yeah.
picked the first and second horse. So
Yeah, you were lucky. You did good that time. So we want to do that so that everybody can participate and have fun.
Brian, there's
And so-
probably I'll think about it, and I'll follow up with Greg too. But there's probably a way we could do it where maybe it's not even a bidding, like where nobody has a money advantage, where maybe we just say, okay, there's this many horses, this many teams, and maybe we draw for them as opposed to picking, like if we
Okay.
do a bidding, or if we create a salary, but it's not real money. Like we say, everybody has $100 salary to spend, and there's this many horses available or something like that, like we do in fantasy sports.
And we can get prizes
Well,
to the one who wins or something like that.
I think Rebecca likes that, maybe something like that. We could probably do something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
is that kind of like similar to how like bunkos ran, where like you just put it in a pot and you play, kind of the same role, if you will, and then you have different categories or whatever. Is that kind of similar, or am I off base?
I don't know anything.
No, I
like
mean,
that.
we could make it like that. Yeah, we can make it like that.
Okay.
That's- Okay. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Rebecca?
I do like prizes, which reminds me, I don't think I ever received mine.
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
I know.
I totally
One of
forgot
the many
until
things.
just now.
Your speaker is acting really funny, Rebecca.
I know,
can-
sorry.
Barely make out what you're saying.
Okay, while we're here, I just wanted to welcome Joyce for the second time. I'm sorry, Joyce, how do you say your second name, your last name?
Higashi.
Gashi. Okay, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I went to Toastmasters the second time. It was a fun meeting. And not to brag or anything, but I did win the table topics.
Yes, you did.
Oh.
So wait, did you get a prize?
He got a
It's kind of
virtual.
hard right now. Yeah.
Yeah, he got one right there, right? He didn't have to wait 3 months? Oh, got it. Okay, just checking.
No. I got a virtual one, yes. Okay. All right. Rebecca, do you have anything else you want to add?
Not at the moment. Thank you, though.
Okay, great. So I would like to introduce our speaker today, Nancy Giere.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Nancy. So after a lifetime in corporate training world, Nancy knows how business operates, and she isn't afraid to shake things up. Her unique perspective, combined with 25 plus years of experience, has empowered her with a fresh insight and the industry's best kept secrets that she's ready to share with you. On a lifelong campaign against boring training, I'm sure we've all been in those, she uses the power of storytelling and lighthearted humor to create an engaging, fun, and interactive environment. Masterfully intertwining comic humor with life lessons. Her stories make learning stick. Nancy has worked with the big names in corporate America like Johnson Controls, Harley Davidson, and Northwestern Mutual. So let's welcome Nancy. Thank you.
All right, let me share my screen.
Sorry. I muted you by mistake, Nancy.
There we go. I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, our topic today is change. And this is about the unexpected. Plot the course for change. And I would like to, if my mouse would work, that would be fantastic. There we go. Just start, and I want you to think about this concept that change plus transformation equals growth. I want you to consider that. And today we're going to talk about different responses to change. What are the key elements in a change action plan? And what are some of the barriers to change? What holds us back? I like to think that change is like a hurricane or tornado. Unexpected change can hit us like this. I feel like what we lived through over the past year was a hurricane. We had the pandemic started. We could see it coming. I remember looking at the people in Italy. They were on their balconies and they were singing and they were making music and thinking, that's never gonna affect us here. Until I went to my local grocery store. I'm in San Carlos. I went to Bianchini's because I wanted to stock up on some items. Main one being pasta because I am Italian and that's, you can't, you gotta have it, right? I get to Bianchini, I walk down the pasta aisle, and the only pasta that they had was made from chickpeas. Many people have tried to convince me that that's not such a bad thing, but that does not fit my sensibility at all. And when I saw that the only pasta that they had was made from chickpeas, I knew that we were in trouble. It's been quite a year in that we had this pandemic, we could see it coming, and then it was here. But then we had other things happen throughout the year that we didn't necessarily expect. And I think what has been very challenging about this particular experience that we've all had, where we've all had to adapt and change, that unlike other situations that I found myself in, like being laid off, getting divorced, I could see an outcome. When you lose a job, you've got two roads that you can run down. You can get another job, or you can start your own business. Both of them, you can see an outcome at the end. When you're in a relationship that's proving to be difficult, you can see what's it going to be like if I stay, what's it going to be like if I leave. And I would suggest that until the last couple of months, we really didn't see the end of the pandemic. And that's what made a lot of the adapting so challenging, because we couldn't see where are we going to go. So that's the challenge around, change that's unexpected, is that we're dropped into it. We didn't really plan for it. There's other types of change that we can do that can exist inside of the unexpected, but also sometimes we make our own choices about perhaps I'd like to get an advanced degree in another topic, or maybe you choose to change a job, not because you lost a job, but because, it's time for something different. Or you choose to start your own business because you've reached that point where it's time. It's a very different kind of a feeling when the change comes from something inside of you, some internal desire that's propelling you forward. And what can happen in these environments, particularly in the unexpected type of change, is it's all about how we respond to it. You can run away from it or run towards it. I have a lot of good friends that are professional speakers, and they made two very different choices. Some of my friends early on said, I'll just wait this out. I'll be back on a big stage soon. My content, that's the only way that I can do it. I have to be on a big stage. Other people immediately started building out great home studios, investing in microphones and lighting and different types of technology that they could use to create better presentations, learning how to work on video, how to be on camera. Because really what's going to happen is there will be a time to get back on the big stage again, but it's more likely that we're going to be in a hybrid situation where we'll be meeting like we are today on Zoom, and we'll also have opportunities to meet in person. I think people are going to mix it up. Some of the larger conferences had larger attendance in a virtual setting than they did prior to it. Because if you think about it, if a company wants to send people to a conference, you've got the travel expense involved. So there's a limitation on the number of people that can go. But if it's virtual, you can open up to everyone. So there's been these types of changes that have happened. Now, I think that some of my friends that decided not to go virtually are now kicking themselves because their competitors have kind of left them in the dust because they've made the shift to say, I can present virtually, I can present on the big stage, whatever way is going to work for you. And it kind of fits in with the next point, is that you can risk staying put or you can move in a new direction. Those two things are kind of connected. You know, as I mentioned before, when you're looking at, let's say you're in a job and you're not happy with the job, you can see, well, what's it like if I stay? I know what it's like to be here. I know what the problems are. I know kind of how to navigate all of this. It might not really be what I want. But this company over here, it's a totally different deal and it looks quite interesting. But it's kind of scary because I don't know how to navigate it. I don't know how to operate it. So it's a big challenge, like where am I going to land? How am I going to approach it? And there's always sort of people that can look at something and say, this is just my bad luck. Or they can see it as an opportunity. I think to have the mindset around what's the opportunity whenever we're faced with a difficult situation. One thing I'd like to share with you is that when I was 28 years old, my mother died. Terrible, terrible time to lose my mother. I was pregnant, so I really would have loved to have had my mother there when my child was born. The upside of it, though, was I really got to know my dad in a way that I never would have if my mother still would have been with us. Now, I would love to have had her with me much longer, but when I look back, I would have never gotten to know my father the way that I did at that time and throughout our lifetimes together. And it was kind of funny. He didn't know what to do with this pregnant daughter, so he would come over to our house and he would bring pizza. He brought me pizza. I'm being Italian. We got pizza, you know, he'd come over at 8 o'clock at night. Have you eaten? I got pizza. Like, how Italian is this? Or be like for lunch or anybody, because he felt like he couldn't just show up unless he had pizza. So we had a lot of pizza that year. But it was his way of trying to figure out how to connect with me, and as I connected with him, and we had really built a wonderful relationship. Now the transformation, that's the journey, that's the road that we travel down, and one of the most challenging things, though, is along the way. Anytime there's a big change or even a small change, you got to leave your comfort zone. You got to be willing to move out of the space that you're in and get into a different place. Because I like to maintain that you really can't make a change if you don't take a chance. And I would say that that's been true of a lot of the direction that I have moved in my life. I made the choice in 2015 to be single. And I was like, well, where am I going to live? I can live anywhere I want now. I get to choose. That's exciting. That's terrifying at the same time. Talking with my daughter, and she said, well, Mom, I think that it's obvious what you need to do. You need to move to California. You need to be close to me. And was like, well, yeah, of course. She's my family. She's my life. So made a big change in that. At that time, I was living on the East Coast in Williamsburg, Virginia, and thought, all right, I'll do this. And I had made all these plans, and I could kind of get a sense of what my life might be like here. And it didn't really hit me how real it was until I watched my car be loaded onto a transport to come cross country. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm really doing it. And it was a big chance because the only person that I knew here was my daughter, my son-in-law, and his parents. So I was like, okay. And everything worked out because I'm glad that I'm here with all of you today. What I'd like to do is just take a little moment here to have a little discussion. And I would like to hear from some of you, what opportunities have you discovered as a result of the pandemic, where it's big or small? And I'll share one idea with you, and then we'll see what the rest of you might have to say. I never considered using a grocery delivery service, never even crossed my mind. Well, now I've been doing that because and it's really made a difference, because it occurred to me, I don't need to actually go to the store and look at some of the items that are my staples that I have all the time. I know I'm going to want LaCroix water. I know I'm going to want this particular kind of cheese. You know, all these different things, and I know exactly what I want. It's not worth my time necessarily to go to the store. So that was one change. But kind of to flip to what the opportunity was, the opportunity is I can do presentations to anybody in the world. And I think that's really cool. And I don't have to get on a plane or get in my car. I can do it right from here. So who's got something they'd like to share in terms of an opportunity that you've seized, or a change that you've made? And I'd be curious to see what might you continue to do. Now, I'll continue doing grocery services, but I am so glad that I can go to a hairdresser again. I just got to tell you, that made my day when I could do that. So anyway, who'd like to share? Anyone? Can people unmute themselves, or?
I can share, Nancy.
Yeah.
And I can't see necessarily everybody because I'm sharing my slides. So who's talking?
Jesse speaking.
Okay, Jesse.
And I think for myself, it would be like having a gym membership, something that I had for a long time. And that was my form of working out. And now I go hiking every day, and I incorporate weight training at home, and I get to spend more time outside and kind of with myself and nature. And I think that that's something that I'll continue to apply moving forward once things start to open up more. I have no interest in going to a gym anymore, which is kind of funny because that was something that really drove me prior. But I enjoy being outside and incorporating that into my routine. And it's something I can easily incorporate, I think, once things start to open up again. Yeah.
Well, and we're lucky we live in a part of the world that we can be outside.
Exactly. Even during the winter, I never really missed out on that. So that's something for myself.
Okay, great. I love that. Who else has something they'd like to share? Oh, you're muted.
Bill, you muted yourself. Bill, you mute.
There you go.
There.
Well, I've learned a little bit about technology and something called Zoom. Still not fully capable of it, but made one presentation over Zoom. And it just has stepped up efficiency in several places to my amazement. There's a somewhat regional Rotary meeting that I go to, or used to go to monthly in Gilroy. Took about 45 minutes each way. Virtually, it's done. And obviously, we get more people on it, and I don't have to do the commute. But the one that really knocks my socks off is our church, which went to all virtual services. And being on the finance committee, we were worried about, the contributions dropping.
Right.
Not a bit. The pledges have come straight in. And as the people in the, one or two of the people in the church have gotten really good at it, we actually have grown membership, some of it from out of state, which is really astonishing to me. I think another thing that we all witnessed, very nice job with some memorial services, one for one of our members, for Mike Trudeau, that I thought was very effective and allowed people from a wide geographical range who'd benefited from knowing him, led to a very powerful memorial service, I thought. So.
Okay. What else does anybody have?
I don't really want to follow that when he talks about Mike Trudeau, because I think that was pretty phenomenal. But you're right, Bill, because I saw my gas bill go down, my bank my finances going up because I'm just not doing as much, right? Yes, we utilize those services like Instacart and things of that nature, but prior, everything was a little bit more, frivolous. And we all just didn't have that opportunity, which we all survived through it. So it means it's okay. And, quality time, quality over quantity is what I've developed over this year and a half during this experience.
Yeah, and another big observation that I've had is last night I had to go from here in San Carlos to Sunnyvale and needed to leave around 5. And I figured I was going to, my mind, it was old traffic pattern, and it took 35, 40 minutes tops. And there weren't a lot of cars on the road. And I felt like this is what the traffic should be like. Unlike when I used to work in San Francisco, and it was where I was in the financial district. So the closest BART stop was like a 1.5 mile walk. And so no matter how I did it, it took me an hour and a half to get from here to there, unless I decided to get up and drive at 6 a.m. I mean, there were days like to go home, to go down the Embarcadero, it would take me longer to get from Green Street onto the freeway than it did to get from the freeway home. So I don't miss that at all. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with commercial real estate. So many people are working from home. I'm working on a large contract now with Pacific Gas and Electric, and unless you are a frontline worker, people are working remotely, and it will be that way through the end of the year. And a lot of other people that I know are going to be working remotely through the end of the year. And then you have to wonder, well, after that, how is work going to change? Because we've all demonstrated that we can work effectively remotely. So how much commercial office space are we really going to need? Just something to think about. All right, well, any other comments before I move on into the next part of this?
Yeah, I was going to say one of the opportunities I found has been using this Zoom. As Bill said, we've done 3 memorial services of members that have passed away, since COVID-19. And this was an interesting way when we did the services, how many people came all over the place and how to keep it moving and have people talk about it. It went pretty well. It was really good. And the other thing is, my wife and I retired. We were both planning on retiring. I think she retired August 2019, and we were planning all these trips and everything, which now got all canceled,
I know. Oh.
And so now we still go out a little bit. Now we both got vaccinated, so we're okay. But it was interesting how we kind of worked around, going in a hotel room, cleaning it, even though it was clean, being careful with everybody wearing masks and all that. So, but it can be done. It was done.
That's good. When you look at the cleaning protocols that hotels say that they have in place now, part of me is like, you weren't doing that before?
Yeah.
Really? You guarantee me that remote control is clean, do you? That's good.
I'll add one more thing.
Oh, please.
And that is the webinars that are available are really upscale now. I have both a couple of friends who send things over of interest, and then several universities that keep me on their list. And some of that stuff is, I wouldn't drive up to San Francisco to hear, for example, or I couldn't get to Boston to hear it, but it's fascinating online.
Definitely. All right. Anything else?
I was going to mention one thing.
Please.
We got in our neighborhood, we got to know our neighbors a little more, because we started the week after the pandemic lockdown. We started a gathering in each of our driveways, and because of our street as being very close. And we called ourselves, well, the ladies called themselves more so driveway drinkers. And so we've been doing that every Friday night, continuously, never missed a night. I've never missed a week since, so it's been over a year. And so, and got to know some of the neighbors more so than we'd known before, or known them before.
That's been a common thread as I've done this talk in different places lately. People saying that they've gotten to know their neighbors more. There's an upside in everything, I guess, is the whole point in this. Even though you've got something really difficult, really challenging happens, there's always your way through it and on to a better place in some ways. All right. So one of the things that can happen when we're going through the change process and we're trying to determine what we want to do and where we want to go, it can feel a bit like a confused sea where all these ideas are swirling around in our heads, and it can feel kind of overwhelming in terms of, okay, what do I do next? Where do I go? And then I always believe that a time comes where there's a moment of clarity where it's absolutely clear what it is your next step should be. When I had that conversation with my daughter, I had been dithering about where to live. Do I go back to Chicago where my roots are? Do I go back to Milwaukee where I spent most of my adult life? Do I stay in Williamsburg, Virginia? I've always kind of liked Denver. Do I go to, I was just all these different possibilities, and I became overwhelmed by it all. And then the conversation with my daughter pretty much sealed it for me, because she asked me to come, and I did. Then once you decide, it's all about having a plan and working the plan. So you know what it is that you want to accomplish. So you've got that big goal, and then what are any underlying goals under that need to be put in place? And then what are the key actions that you need to take? So if we think about my choice to move here, I had a house to sell. I had to decide. I downsized to really what could fit into a container from a 3-bedroom house and an outbuilding with an office and an art glass studio and all kind, and 30 years of accumulated stuff, and to decide, okay, and all of this, what am I going to take with me? And I had to be mindful that it wasn't all mine. This was a shared experience to accumulate all of these items. But what made sense to bring with me, and what could I put into that container? And it's amazing when you think about moving from a large space to a small space, how much attention you pay to what you have and what's really important. So lots of work to untangle all of that, to determine what to keep, what to give away, what to put on consignment, what to throw away. So I had Junk Squad and Habitat for Humanity on speed dial to come and pick things up on a fairly regular basis. But it was really kind of getting into action. Then, of course, when you're doing something that's on a large scale, there's a lot of tasks that need to be completed. And a trick that I put in place, which I got from a book called Getting Things Done, was to focus on what's right in front of you. So every morning I'd look at my list and I would pick 3 items on the list. And I would tell myself, these are the 3 items that I have to get done today. Once I'm done, I can make a choice. I can either continue on to the next item, or I can stop and I can do something else. And that kept me very grounded, very focused, and it also really helped me to move forward and not get stuck, and not look at a list and go, oh my God, I can't believe this thing is going to go on forever. This whole book is everything I have to accomplish. And then the last item that is very important is to be able to enlist support. When I made the choice to start my own business, I did everything at the beginning. You kind of have to. And then as things started to grow, I looked at, well, what type of help do I need? The first thing I did was I hired somebody as a bookkeeper. I was capable of going through and handling all of the transactions, but I wasn't that good at it. I wasn't that efficient. So it made sense for me to offload that task to someone else and free up my time on a Saturday morning to do something that I enjoy. And I really took a look at the whole business and what am I good at? What are the tasks that I do well, that I need to keep doing? And what are the tasks that I need to offload to other people to support me to move forward? And at first it was a little bit scary, being able to recruit contractors or decide if they're going to be employees and get everybody in place. And once I got it going, it gave me so much more freedom to really focus and grow the business. And somewhere along the way, when we're thinking about making a change, these barriers come up. I'm too old. I'm not thin enough. I don't have enough education. I don't have. The list can go on and on and on, and it can really just stop us from moving forward into something really wonderful. And many of these really fall into the idea that it's a self-limiting belief. So the trick that I've used with these is when I start hearing myself say that I'm I want to say I'm not old enough. I'd love to be able to say that more often, but I'm too old. What am I doing this for? I'm going to start my life over at age 57. Who does that? It's this little dog is yapping at me in my head. And when I turn those self-limiting beliefs into this little dog's yappy voice, I can laugh at it and I don't take it so seriously, and I can step back from it and say, okay, I've got this. It's worth trying it. Listen to my own advice. Take a chance. Try to do something different. Because I really believe that we all get to write the script of our lives. And if we don't like it, we've got the ability to edit it and change it and move in another direction. And what is very important is that underneath all of this is that our values are what guide us, our core values. And what I know about your organization is that there is a whole value system that's tied into it, which brings you all together and which underpins what you do. And I think that in how we all conduct our lives, there's a set of core values that lies underneath everything that we do. And to be able to lean into that is just very important because it connects with our family, our friendships, our education, our career, whatever we're doing in those four quadrants, our values guide us. And like I've said many times, you can't make a change if you don't take a chance. And when we look back to the beginning, as you can see, change plus transformation equals growth. Whether we're doing something because we're making the choice, because we want to do something different and we're excited about it, or if something unexpected just hits us hard and we've got to make a change because of factors around us that have driven it. So as you go through this, really the next steps, whatever is going on in your lives, is to identify, well, what is the opportunity, and come up with the plan and really work it and let values guide you. And that concludes what I wanted to share with you today. And I'll just put up my slide with my contact info, and would love to, if any of you, my primary business is really around helping people create training programs. And I've certainly done quite a bit of that in this virtual space. And if any of you have any interest in that at all, I'd love to just have a 30-minute chat, 15-minute chat, and see what might work for you and how I might be able to help you as you move forward. And with that, I'm happy to take any more questions or comments as we wrap up today.
Okay, do we have questions from anybody? Just unmute yourself. I was wondering, what's it like in doing the trainings nowadays? I don't know. I'm just thinking of my wife's a retired teacher.
Oh yeah.
And
oh my goodness.
And so she does, she takes, she's a substitute teacher, and she's teaching kids mostly, I think, up to 6th grade. I'm not sure if she did a 7th grade, but I think she did. and trying to keep those kids' attention while on Zoom is pretty difficult. What's it like with adults?
Well, with adults, what I'm finding is there's some meetings that are cameras on, and there's some meetings that are cameras off, or some sessions are cameras on, some are cameras off. And the camera off session, you can bet that people are doing other things. So with adults, because we're sitting at our desks, where people are multitasking. So I mean, I could have my camera go off and I could be, oh, what's happening here? You know, I should check my email. What's happening on Facebook, right? So the biggest challenge is that adults just will have the, you know, we all have this illusion of being multitaskers when in fact you're not giving, you know, enough attention to either item. It probably is taking longer. What I'm seeing is that people are starting to be more selective about what they participate in, and they have to really see that there's going to be value in it. Sometimes people, I'll stop the share here, will sign up for, let's say, a webinar series or an online course series, and people fade after a while because when people are creating the content, they're standing it up quickly and they're not really thinking about how to design it and how to make it engaging and give people exercises and activities to do along the way. It's becoming really, you know, it's because we're used to like watching television, and that's very much a passive place. We don't interact with TV shows unless we're like yelling at a sports team or something, right? It's like, or don't go in the closet. You have no idea what's in that closet, right? On a murder show. So what has to happen is the types of training that's effective if you're just online and it's a self-study type of a situation is very short modules, 8 minutes, but they can be strung together into a longer series. That's working very well. And when people are doing webinars, I'm astounded how they don't really feel they need to bring energy to it. They don't really change their vocal variety or use gestures. I was at it's a little bit different, but I was at a Toastmasters meeting and the presenter had hurt her back and wasn't feeling well. And she was lying down, but didn't tell anybody. So you can't, who could listen to what she had to say? Because everybody's like, what the hell? What is she doing? Why is she lying down? And then I sent her a note and said, I'd like to suggest that you know, and then she shared that with me. And I said, well, you need to tell people, because then we know that you're not going to be totally on your game. Or people don't necessarily want to ask questions, or they don't take the time to have the lighting be right. If the lighting isn't right, and if you can't see the person, you're going to lose interest. So a lot of it is you have to think about, I'm in this different environment. I have to be more engaging in how I come across, how I express myself. You have to have more energy in this environment, I believe, than when you're on a stage. You have to create it because you're not getting the feedback from people. You're not, if you're sharing a presentation, you can't see everyone. So you can't see when people are nodding their heads and when they're with you. So you just kind of have to hope for the best. I did a stand-up comedy show. Everybody was muted. I thought I was hilarious, but I don't really know for sure, right? So it's really bringing great energy. And if you're going to use visuals, take the time to make them really compelling and interesting to look at so you can keep people's energy. And that's what needs to happen in training adults. So a lot of the principles for good training apply, but you have to amp things up a bit and think about, well, I'm in the small box now. So, you know, I'm doing more with my face, and then perhaps that you would see if I was on a stage. It's a little bit different. I'm in a small spot, so I have to figure out, well, how do I make this work? Because I'm just in this little thing here. You can just sing. So anyway, so those are just some thoughts.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? Yeah, Bill.
Just a quick one. Have you found that there's a maximum or optimum size of meeting of this kind that you can have, or does it depend on the format of meeting? In other words, presentation versus a group discussion or a problem solving meeting?
I think it depends on the size and the size and the format and the content. One thing that's really nice in Zoom and the other platforms is you can put people into breakout rooms. So I've done this presentation and it's been with a much larger group. So for some of the little discussion part that I had inserted in the middle, I would put people into breakout rooms, have them discuss in the breakout room, and then bring them back into the larger room and then ask a few people to share. When it's a really large group, you need to things have to keep moving. You can insert things like you could put in polling questions, really just leverage the tools around it. And, there's like the speaker series that goes on in the Bay Area. They moved all of that to Zoom. And certainly it's a different type of a feeling when someone like Rick Steves is doing a big, I'm Rick Steves, and they had Jane Goodall. People are kind of thinking of that as, well, I was in a lecture hall before, sitting very passively, and then somebody asked questions at the end. They kind of move that format over.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you.
And we can even play games too. So.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nancy.
Oh, you're very welcome.
This was really great. Yeah, this was really great and helpful to all of us. And I'm really glad that you were able to speak to us today. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Now, before we all leave. Yeah.
When the world changes.
Carlos, not that far. Yeah. So I just have three things that Rebecca had to get off because her internet wasn't working. Maybe when we get that infrastructure bill, we'll get better internet service. But I just have three things I want to talk about. First, I got to share the screen. I want to show you what I did for our fun, our trying to fundraise for the play garden at Almaden Lake. I did, for my birthday, I did a fundraiser.
Awesome.
And I already raised $800.
So great.
So come on, you guys. If you're on Facebook or your kids are or your friends are, get them to, I just need $200 more to make my
Isn't that
goal.
the
of
amount your
1,000.
family won on Family Feud?
No, we won 3,500, and that was so long ago. Okay, so there it is under my name, fundraiser for our play garden that we're trying to help get built at Almaden Lake. It's going to be an all-inclusive play garden where people of all abilities and ages can go to it. Okay, so that's
shareable, Brian? Is the Facebook post shareable?
Shareable?
The Facebook post for your birthday?
Yeah.
Is it shareable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shareable? Yes.
Yeah, like I can
think so.
share it on my page.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
you can. Okay, and then if it's not, let me know and I'll figure it out. The other speaker for next week her name is Rita Marie Johnson. She's founder and CEO of Rossur Foundation International, and her topic is emotional first aid for our time. I think she's local, like from Morgan Hill Rotary Club, but she'll be our speaker next week. And I also want to remind you guys that May 6th is going to be a great person speaking. It's going to be by Zoom. It's going to be Bob Mankoff, who is a cartoonist for the New Yorker. And the program's going to be, I only read it for the cartoons and insiders cartoon history of the New Yorker. So make sure you can bring friends there. It should be very exciting. Okay, does anybody else have anything? Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Joyce, for coming. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. All right. I'll
thank
see
you. It's great.
Next week or sooner.
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.